Hey everyone, it's Andy here from Saving to Invest. And today I want to talk about two interrelated topics that are creating a lot of heated discussion on previous videos and on comments at my site. It's really got to do with tax refunds. A lot of people are still struggling to where their tax refund is. And as you can see, the IRS is still behind in processing nearly 7 million tax returns. And then you'll see why this is happening. For part of the reason is because of all the stimulus checks and delays people are seeing with those. So really looking at stimulus check delays and tax refund delays and some tips and tricks to get through them, but also why these are happening. As always, if you find the information here useful, please like the video and subscribe to keep getting more updates. So, as I mentioned, I'm going to touch on the ongoing delays with tax refunds, payments for this tax season, and getting updates from the IRS, which has been a challenge for a lot of people. I'm also going to talk a little bit about the third stimulus check payment schedule and some considerations on why your payment could be delayed, it could be less, or it could be missing entirely, and what to do if that happens. And just some other useful information based on what I'm collecting in other sites and the research I've done. So, hopefully, all this together will give you some insight into your tax refund and stimulus payments. So, touching first on tax returns. So, the Washington Post has widely reported that the IRS is behind in processing 7 million tax returns. The IRS has acknowledged it, especially mailed returns. They're not even looking at those right now. So, most people do submit electronic filed returns, but mail returns haven't even been started processing for the most part yet. And they estimate the Washington Post is saying is 7 million returns, which is weak. So, if you're not seeing your return, there's probably a good chance it's in a backlog, and especially if you have the earned income tax credit or the additional child credit, which do require further scrutiny, or you've had issues in previous years, or you've had multiple employers with different income verification, it can take delays. And I think this is confirmed there. The reason is being also put, there's been a lot of legislative changes, stimulus payments that have come through with the stimulus bills that is actually being processed by the IRS. So that is legitimately a reason for all these delays. And then, of course, with COVID and the pandemic, everyone is short staffed. People are not able to work as effectively together. So this has caused more delays with the IRS. And fundamentally, the IRS budget was cut over the last few years with the previous Trump administration. So that's all sort of coming to a heat right now, and people are seeing delays. Again, this was confirmed by many sources. So Washington Post, Fox Business. So it is a bipartisan issue. So it's not liberal or Republican. Fox Business has also reported that the IRS is going slower than usual. This year did start a bit late. Normally, the tax year starts processing end of January. This year didn't start till February 12th because of the delays from the previous tax seasons and the IRS paying out the stimulus payments. The average refund, though, is probably in line with 2880, which is not that different from previous years. And I have some articles talking about previous refunds, which I'll post in the description below. But as you'll see, a lot of people are attributing the refund delays to the payments of the $1,400 payment stimulus payment that was recently approved under the Biden stimulus bill. This is, I think, to an extent true, but the IRS has done two rounds of stimulus payments before. The third one had some slightly different conditions, but they started paying it up basically within 2 days of the bill. So you'll see here, this was confirmed over the weekend on the IRS social media Twitter site that they've started paying the third round of economic payments. I know on an article I have on the refund schedule, on the stimulus schedule, a lot of people are getting payments for these over the weekend. There's still some gaps, which I'll discuss shortly, around dependent payments. But without any action, this is being paid out, and a lot of people are already getting it. This is a brief schedule I published on a related article, which I'll link to below. So the bill was signed into law on March 11th. People started seeing it from the weekend on direct deposit. Mail checks will take a bit longer. They'll start processing probably next week, and then could take 4 to 6 weeks to pay out. Again, the Get My Payment tool, which is the official IRS tool to track status, that'll be updated from March 15th. So you should start being able to see if it's been paid, or if it's got no payment status, it's either being processed or there's some issues with your payment. Estimated wise, the normal round of processing for the first round of payments, mailed and direct debit, should finish by the end of April. The IRS is paying this throughout the year, but what this means is you can start calling the IRS to try and get more information on this. But until then, you just have to wait for processing to happen. Now, the stimulus check has not been without issues like the previous round, so we'll probably see more delays, but it's just early days. As you can see, this just started over the weekend, so don't be concerned if the 1400 hasn't hit your account, and it could hit for you and your dependents differently, and I'll touch on that a bit later. But you'll start seeing the payment status not available. That's nothing to be worried about. It doesn't mean it's not working. It just means it's processing, right? It's only after you go for a few days, a few weeks, that if that status is there, that could suggest something else, and you should get a notice from the IRS around that payment. But again, it just means that it hasn't processed yet for the majority of people, so nothing to stress out about right now. And then there's one issue that's being reported a fair bit. This happened with the previous payment, especially the second stimulus. It got sent to the wrong bank account. So Get My Status will show the payment details of the last four digits of which account it went to. And some people are seeing an incorrect account number. The IRS knows about this, and I've written an article why this is happening. I'll link to that as well here. But basically, it comes down to data that's coming from tax software providers, H&R Block, TurboTax, TaxSlayer, all those other ones. It actually sends some old bank account information, which wasn't automatically updated by them because they have their accounts with the IRS that get paid first, especially for advanced loans. So that caused some issues with the right account numbers being used. Now the IRS is working through that. That happened with the second check. You will get paid. At worst, you'll get a check as opposed to a direct deposit. So a mail check, which will mean 4 to 6 weeks. But notice this is a known issue that's happening as well. So, tax refund delays. I know this has got a lot of people angry and frustrated with what's happening. So, what can we do about it? So, let me share with you some thoughts of why this is happening and what you could do. Firstly, I think the IRS is behind schedule. You saw some headlines that showed up there. It's widespread now, just given all the new legislation coming through with the stimulus bills, the payment for all the stimulus checks, and the additional validity of more dependents. There's a lot of extra payments to be set up around the child tax credit, the expanded unemployment tax breaks, and I've written about all those things, and I'll post links below. But there's a lot of stuff happening that the IRS is sort of overseeing and or having to issue guidelines, and they have limited staff. So this is essentially what's causing a lot of the challenges and the backlog of delays. It's a known issue, and I think this year we'll just expect to see delays. The other one is people can't get hold of an IRS agent. I've published a few videos. My last one was how to get in touch with someone, tips and tricks, trying to get through people through a live agent faster. Again, you have to wait for 21 days. Now there's discussion. This is calendar days or business days. The IRS says it is calendar days, but realistically, I think you should also most plan for 21 business days. But until after that period, you're not going to be able to get someone. They're going to say, just wait, it's processing, it's processing. You can keep checking where's my refund and IRS to go, but this will have to be something that you can only address after 21 days. And trying to get hold of someone in the IRS right now is very difficult. Even the tips and tricks I had in the videos, you're still getting hung up a lot because the volumes are so high. Again, they have two credits, the earned income tax credit and the additional child tax credit. Under the PATH Act a few years ago, a law was put in that people who claim these credits, there is more verification required because there was some fraud going on for people claiming this credit. So this is always means that these people with these credits claimed in the returns normally see a 3 week delay anyway, just because of the fact that the IRS has to hold on. They were meant to process these in March and start making payments in early March, but it looks like people with this are still seeing more delays. Again, I think this is just the lag. So people who have normal processing have been delayed. So people with these credits will get delayed. So this is sort of a area I'm seeing a lot of comments on for delays. Like there's nothing you can do. You just have to wait for the IRS to process the refund and send you a notice if there's a discrepancy or additional verification is needed. The other one is a refund offset. This is not necessarily delaying refunds, but it does mean more processing if they have to check this. But it does also shock people when they get a refund that's a lot lower. And so a refund offset is essentially when an individual owes money to the federal government because of a delinquent debt, child support, whatever, the Treasury Department can automatically offset the individual's refund or withhold the entire amount. This is legally allowed. So if you'll get a notice of this and you're sent a notice if this is going to happen anyway, but this is happening with the stimulus payments as well because people who got them incorrectly or had child debt, that's being deducted right now. So there's stuff with the refund offset that's lowering the amount of refund you're getting. And I have a video on that, which you can search for as well. And then, of course, the last one is the income and identity verification delays. So this is around fraud and then making sure the income you're reporting. A lot of people, especially freelancers who have 1099s, who don't have a regular salary, provide their income. So the IRS, if it flags issues and sees someone's claiming a lot of expenses but not earning enough income or vice versa, they'll flag people's tax returns, and so there's more verification that has to be done manually. So this will delay things. And this quote I got from an article online was for about 25% of the returns flagged for income verification, refunds took longer than 56 days. And for about 18% of those flagged for identity verification, which is fraud, it took longer than 120 days. So this can be a lot of delays, and especially if there's a backlog already, you're going to see these delays get worse. So this is a big reason why people are seeing delays. So some of these reasons are probably why your refund is delays. I know people are frustrated, they need the money, but hopefully this gives you some insight and you're not alone if this is happening to you. So with stimulus payments processing, there's some things to know as well. So this has just recently started and it'll take probably a few weeks to go through. Those who are simple, who meet the income thresholds, will get their payments pretty quickly. As I said, over the weekend, some have already started seeing initial payments, and it'll happen over the next couple of weeks for direct deposit, and it'll then proceed probably through April for mail checks. But so far, it's coming per schedule. Even some would say ahead of schedule. But it is action. No action is needed. This is going to be based on your tax return, or if you're a non-filer, it's going to use the latest information from your agency that is paying you, Social Security Administration for Social Security recipients, Veterans Affairs, those kind of places. And if you had previous stimulus checks and the IRS can't find information, they'll use that. There is talk of a new tool coming out for non-filers, but that's still not confirmed yet. The other thing to note why your stimulus payment could be delayed or not coming is the income thresholds changed with this bill. This was done just to get Senate approval because initially they were complaining about the size of these stimulus. So they narrowed the phase out. So only people, singles between 75K and 80K and couples between 150K and 160K will get the full or partial stimulus. If you're earning below 150 or 75, you'll get the full. And if you go up to 80 for singles, 160 for couples, you will get partial until it goes anything above 80 or 160, you'll get zero. So this were considerably higher for the second stimulus, and they've been lowered a lot here. So if you're not getting a check, it's probably because your income was too high, your 2019 or your 2020 income was too high to qualify for the credit. And again, it's important, whichever is your latest tax return, that's what the IRS will use. So be aware that some people have been hit by this because they reduced the number of people getting the check to keep the Senate happy. So the other big change is that now a lot more dependents are going to get the $1,400 stimulus check. So adults are 1,400, adults dependents are 1,400. So a lot more college age kids, those over 17 who didn't get the previous two checks and won't qualify now. But for the third one, they will get the $1,400. So this includes college age kids, adults with disabilities, and elderly relatives. So a much larger group, which I think is going to require the IRS to do a lot more processing and verification. So I am seeing people get their adult check, but not get the dependent checks, or especially if their dependents were not claimed last year or something like that that happened. Those are people are seeing delays. But this could take some time. I expect it may take several weeks to clear the backlog, and at worst case, you'll have to claim this credit in your 2021 tax return via a recovery rebate credit if it's not paid this year. And the other point I'll make with dependent payments, it goes to the adult, not to the dependent. So even if they're over 17, college age kids, or elderly parents, it's the person claiming them as a dependent will get it paid to their bank account information in their tax return, or if they claim the dependent through a non IRS agency. The point I reiterate here, the adult stimulus payments may come separately to the dependent payments. So a lot of adults are getting their payment because they're pretty straightforward processing, but if they've had kids or they have new dependents who were not eligible, they may see some delays. Now, if that information was in your 2019 or 2020 tax return, whichever came latest, you should see the dependent payments come through with the adult payments. And you can always pull your IRS transcript, and I have a video on that as well, to see what's paid a few months from now. But if you don't see your dependent payment, especially if you have an over 17 dependent that did not qualify before, it may be because your data is not up to date with the IRS and you may need to claim it as a tax refund next year. The Get My Payment Tracker is the official tool from the IRS. It's on the IRS website. That's updated overnight or when there's a significant event. So even you may not see an update every night. It's just if something progresses, if it's processing. Otherwise, you'll see it as in a processing status. Calling the IRS won't speed up things. But from March 15th, the Get My Payment Tool tracker will be updating every night for changes. So you can go check it. No point checking multiple times a day. It doesn't change. And again, the payments will happen in batches. The stimulus payments are not happening like one payment doesn't go out to 90 million households. It'll happen in batches. So you may find that you may get one payment in one batch, another household member gets in another batch, and it'll keep happening throughout 2021 according to the IRS. They're not going to just stop payments after the first round. They'll keep going. Biden issued an executive order that they need to have more tools and they have more processes to follow up with people who may not realize they're even getting a stimulus payment. And so you may see some more tools come out, especially for non-filers who don't have updated information with the IRS always and have had issues with previous stimulus check payments. Like I said before, the IRS will use what's there with other government agencies, plus potentially the payment details for the second stimulus check in December, January for non-filers. But if they can't find that, then there probably will be an option down the road for them to open up a non-filer tool to update data, or non-filers can file a simple tax return at the end of 2021 to actually claim this stimulus payment like they could do it for the previous two in 2020. Hopefully this information here was useful to you. I did go through a lot, so please rewind the video and see what's information for you. But if you like here, please hit the like button. And if you got this far through, please subscribe. I'll be putting a bunch of new videos out there. So hopefully this information is useful to you. Thanks. Bye.